What's this film
So Margaret's a
called?
big star.
Throw
That's
Mama
life.
from the train.
This is life.
Throw Mama from the train.
Oh, brilliant.
It's a.
I've seen it, it's
Night.
brilliant. Yeah.
Night was.
This is the one
Human.
with Brian.
Night was human.
Danny DeVito.
Uh-huh.
It's actually a comic take
Night was
also,
hot.
Strangers on a Train by Alfred
The night was
Hitchcock.
wet, hot and wet.
But instead of, so where
night
the
was
two people
human.
want
Maybe the night is
the other to
human.
commit the other's murder.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe the night is
So,
human. Maybe
same
the
thing
night is
happens
human
to this
in the
one.
morning. And at
But
night,
one guy says, kill my mother, please.
Keeps you
So
calm.
throw
The
Mama
night
from the train.
was foggy.
Yeah, you could.
The night The night was dry, yet it was raining. The streets were wet, but the night was as bright as the earrings that Margaret Donner's ears.
Kinda like to open
I'm going out of my mind.
The session with something as writers for screenwriting courses to be
human.
used to. How do I start my
That's
story?
it, and that's all.
You know, and like, I was gonna play the second part of that scene, but being conscious of time, I got other scenes that I want to show you. But the second part of the scene was like, the hardest thing in writing any story is the opening, right? That's what they tell you. You know, once upon a time, it began like this, and in this story, it's like he's stuck on the night was. The night was hot, the night was sticky, the night was dark, the night was crazy, and he goes through all of these different scenarios, and the student, you know, who he's looking down at, is played by Danny DeVito, kind of like throws at him, the night was humid, and he goes, okay, that student knows better than me, right? And to the point where he's so frustrated with that he just takes his idea, you know. But I thought what was interesting about that is, as writers for this being a screenwriting course, that would probably be the thing that you find difficult. Is that true? Starting your story? Mm. But the real thing is, for me, you know, coming from 18 years experience in the industry, it's not the starting the story, it's ending it. Mm. Where does my story end? I don't know what your general experience is, right, with writing, but what I find is it's easy to kind of like write character. It's easy to kind of like write scenes, you know, situations. But then you find yourself kind of like writing without the end in sight. Now, some people say, well, if you did a treatment and you did, you know, your story beginning, middle, and end, oh yeah, sure, man, of course. Why didn't I think of that? But it's still getting there. It's still traveling on that train, isn't it? You know, so it's like, I'm writing. But see, some people find it even more difficult to write. So when they're told that a screenplay has to be at least 90 to 110 pages, right? They can't get past 20, 25. I mean, how many writing screenplays actually?
How many what?
How many of you are writing screenplays?
Well, I started one, it's not finished.
Yeah, so does that make any sense to you around like the complication of like not just starting it but ending it?
Yeah.
And so what this session is, there's going to be two key points that I feel that we'll get to because we only have an hour. Is going to be character and conflict. What I like, especially with people who call themselves writers, I'm going to actually teach you the secret. Right? I'm hoping I'm going to teach you the secret because I'm hoping that you don't actually know it. Okay. Somebody tell me what a main character of the story is.
The person that's
The person that what?
the person that's got a problem.
The person that's got a problem?
Well, the person has to have, is in the character, it's got to have a problem to, and then the problem's got to be
what?
solved.
Problem to solve?
No.
Procrastinator.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Procrastinator.
Procrastinator? What? You mean protagonist?
Protagonist, yeah. Same host, different job.
So you think, okay, the main character is that in the story. Now, we are talking about screenplays, right? So the main character is the person who, just a shortcut for you, goes on a journey. Anybody know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
That's at the writer there, the screenplay. He said, don't ask me no questions.
No.
Sure. Goes on a journey. What does go on a journey mean?
Every story is a journey.
Yeah, there are two types, but go ahead. So what is a journey?
Life experience.
Life experience, or that life experience is encapsulated in the story, right? So a character that has a beginning, like an origin, a middle, and an end. Would you agree to that?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that means that character is what we call three-dimensional. Right? We discover everything about that person. That's the main character of the story. Anybody know what the central character of the story is? Because this is the bit that is confusing.
The antagonist.
The antagonist? No.
The problem.
The problem? No. Let's use the word central.
The what?
Let's look at the word central.
Could he be the murderer?
The murderer.
Like the main character. The main character is the cop, and then the central character
No.
is okay.
Is it like somebody that helps the main character? Like a sidekick type?
There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Wait.
Now you jumped ahead, but you actually had the right answer, so I have to at least acknowledge it.
Okay.
Now watch, you're gonna say, how is that possible? Right? The central character. I'm sorry, wait a minute, you know what? I just complimented you and I'm wrong. The central character goes on an adventure. The main character is the sidekick. But see that now you've actually ruined it, my thing, because I made a big deal about it.
The main character's
The central character is who the story is centered around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's who it's about. The best way we understand who the central character of any story is pretty much in the title of the story. So I'll give you two examples. Jaws and Die Hard. Right? Central character of Die Hard is John McClane. Most people think he's the main character. He's not. Why? Because if you follow the paradigm, and this is Joseph Campbell, this is Homer, right? This is not Chase, this is truth. John McClane starts out as a hero, washed up, right?
Yeah.
His wife wants to leave him and stuff. He's trying to get back together with her. Let's look at the first story, yeah? But then something happens, and he goes on an adventure through Nakatomi Plaza,
Yeah.
right? He wants to save his wife. He has his one main goal. I need to save my wife. He's a hero. He does it. And at the end, he gets his wife. But guess what happens? That is just one adventure for John McClane because he comes back for Die Hard 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what happens? Same thing each time. Another adventure for John McClane. And all they do is sprinkle some foibles and some moments. Some character moments.
Yeah.
But he is central to the story. If we look at Homer from Homer's Iliad, right? Classic epic poetry. Homer is writing about Odysseus and the Odyssey. He's writing about the 100-Year War and all this other kind of stuff. He puts himself in the story. You as writers are the main character of your story because what you as writers are viewing the hero of that story. Who the story is about, right? But this is why it's important to understand this because this is where writers get confused when they can't seem to write their story. And how come this is not as good as the movies? Because the main character is and always will be the representation of the writer, always will be represented as the sidekick. And that's why I complimented you on that. So, let me prove my theory. In Die Hard, Reginald Vell Johnson, you say who? Who do you think Reginald Vell Johnson is?
Policeman.
He's the cop.
Yeah.
Now let's put my theory into practice. At the beginning, Reginald Vell Johnson is just going to the shop to get some donuts. Right?
Yeah.
Pick up some donuts for the wife, yeah?
That's right, I remember that.
And then all of a sudden, a body falls on his windshield, and he discovers that there's terrorists in the Nakatomi Plaza. Has nothing to do with Bruce Willis yet, right? He is us, the audience. We'll follow him into this adventure of that hero, of that strange guy, Bruce Willis. Everybody follow me now?
Mm-hmm.
If your story does not have that because you're too busy talking about protagonists and antagonists, you're pretty much losing the heart of your story because that's where the heart is. The focus is always on the sidekick who is following the hero. It's always focusing on, let me show you how super or non-super this hero is. The only way I can do that is to give you an everyman response to that hero. So, Reginald Vell Johnson's car, body lands on his car. He's like this, oh my God, my head hurts. And all of a sudden, the walkie, he can now communicate with our hero. Right?
Yes.
So he becomes the voice. He becomes, hey, everybody get in there. And then the cops and the FBI slowly start to overwhelm this like simple little beat cop. Right? Who's talking to him? Who's talking to the guy? Oh, that'd be me, sir. Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
I'm the main character of the story. And he feeds us what's happening to John, especially in those heartwarming moments. When they blow up the glass and he cuts up his feet. Now that's what I mean by foibles. We need those moments in our central character. But the only way he can express that is through the main character, who is the audience, who's watching his adventures, who is given the inside viewpoint. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And then at the end, these guys never meet. It's kind of like 12 Angry Men, right? You know, if you love that movie, I love it. Right? So then these guys finally meet in the end. John's coming out. He's got his wife. Is he looking for his wife? He ain't looking for his wife. Look for Reginald Vell Johnson. I forgot the cop's name. Sorry. And then he's standing there like the hero. Yes. I went to many doors, right? They do a bro hug and love and everything. And they look happy ever after. You know, he only makes it at the beginning of the second movie. But that was our main character for that story. Everybody understand? So, let's put it into practice one more time, a little bit harder. Jaws. Jaws, the shark. The title says Jaws. It's about the shark, right? So the only way we can examine the shark is through the eyes of three people. Three characters. Brody, Shark Hunter, Quint, and Hooper. Right? So which one of these guys is the main character?
I can't remember now.
Brody's the cop who can't swim. Quint is the shark hunter who's like, give me 10 quid and I'll kill your shark. And Hooper is the college student who's like, hey man, there's a shark. I got all this technical stuff to help you find him. Right? Who's the main character? Come on, everybody's seen Jaws. Brody!
Yeah, I think.
You think? It's Brody's town, right? We're introduced to Brody as Brody finds out there's a shark out in the water, and I'm not going out there. I'm telling you, I'm already terrified of water. Nobody's listening to me in this town. There's a shark out there. Anybody remember it now?
Who was the actor who played?
Roy Scheider.
Oh, yes.
Lovely
yes,
Roy Scheider.
yes. And who was the other guy, the blonde
Richard
guy?
Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss. Who was he? Hooper?
He was Hooper. In the book, he had a relationship with the wife. What up with Peter eventually? Anyway, the point is that this main character, as is when you're dealing with ensembles, usually have sidekicks of their own. And these two sidekicks become like an isosceles triangle. You know what an isosceles triangle is, right? Two equal sides on the bottom. So this is really helpful as far as building characters, by the way. So if Brody is at the apex as the main character, Quint and Hooper are equal as the sidekicks. Would you agree? For those who remember, sure, Joyce. Yeah? Now, when you're writing your stories, this is very important. Whether you have groups of 3, groups of 4, groups of 5, groups of 7, groups of 12, right? I love ensemble stories. It always has what I call the Trek triad, like Star Trek. It always has Kirk, Bones, and Spock. Kirk is always at the apex, and Bones and Spock is always his advisors on the side. You know that? It's always science and magic, you know, religion or controversy, whatever. But you have to have an isosceles triangle with those characters. That's storytelling. Without the equal parts being there to help, advise, and support your main character as they are confronting their central problem. Does it make any sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that is the secret of main character versus central character, is the fact of understanding that the central character generally is the hero, generally is what the title of the movie will revolve around, and generally is the person that we all are aspiring to, looking to, alluring to. But that central character, the main character of the story, if somebody were to ask you, would be that person who is following that person, who is narrating that person's story, who is the sidekick of that person, who's always on hand with that person, right? Like Riggs and Murtaugh in Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Give me a movie, and I'll tell you who the main and central character are. And then you go, well, I always thought it was about, because you think about the word main and you confuse it.
Yeah.
Don't. Main just means the person who goes on the journey. No. Main just means the person who goes on the adventure. No, central means the person. Oh, why am I confusing myself? I'm confused, but it's true. It's main is the person who is on the journey that has the 3 dimensions to their character. Because when we are introduced to them and they go through the conflict of the story and then they come to the end of that story. The central character is always the person who goes on the adventure, because that is what the sequel is about. The sequel, always think about the sequel, the book collection, the TV series, right? It won't be about the 3-dimensional person, because we're already introduced to all of their foibles in that one. Which is why John McClane changes sidekicks every time. Which is why every time you look at a Schwarzenegger movie, he's always got a sidekick, whether it's mostly it's females, but it will also be, if you look at the females that are running with him, they have 3-dimensional arc stories. Right? From Commando to Total Recall. Right? Hopefully you got the film fans.